One of the things that we're talking about in developing up your strategic plan is to spend the first probably 40 to 50 minutes either reviewing and reaffirming your existing vision statement, or developing a new vision statement if you don't have one, or changing your existing vision statement if it's actually not working, or if things have changed around you. There are some simple things that you can do that will actually help facilitate this. It's not a 3-day live-in process where you develop up 4 words that we least disagree about. That's not what we're talking about. It's just 40 or 50 minutes of actually looking at, reaffirming or changing your vision statement. So here are some ways that you can go about this. First one is each vision statement has a number of key intents. And those key intents in any vision statement, there's usually 2, 3, maybe 4 of these key intents. And what we do is we test them out. You test them out with your planning group. And I'll give you some real life examples of this. The first example I give you is the ACT Disability Aged and Carer Advocacy Service, ADACUS. And their vision statement is to assert, promote and protect the rights and responsibilities of people with disabilities, people who are older and their carers. There's 3 key elements in this vision statement. The first one is to assert. Now, the strategic question is, what do we mean by asserting? What does that look like? In this particular instance, with this project or program, what does assert look like in this? Because each time it's going to be different. There's no one way of asserting. The next question would be asserting from whose perspective? The next question might be, how do we know that we're asserting? How do we measure asserting? What are the different ways that we can assert that we hadn't thought of asserting that will enable us to assert in ways that other people haven't actually looked at asserting? These are all strategic questions that you can ask. For each and every one of your programs, your projects, the services or the products that you're providing, how is this going to create asserting? And then the next part of the vision statement is to promote. So by promoting, what does promotion look like in this instance? Promoting from whose perspective? What are the different ways of promoting? Because if it's in your vision statement, it's important. And if it's important, we then need to use it. So how do we measure the promotion? What are we looking for from the promotion? Promotion from whose perspective? And then the third part, and to protect. So what does protect look like? From whose perspective are we protecting? How do we measure this protecting? How do others protect? What are the things that we can learn about protecting that we don't know about? If you start to use your vision statement, it opens up possibilities that have always been there. But using your vision statement actually gets you to look at these in a different light. Incredibly powerful. The important part in all of this is to use it, to start using the key intents and the key elements. The words themselves probably aren't terribly inspirational, and they don't need to be. What does need to be inspirational is how we choose to live this, how we choose to use this, how everything that we do is put through the filter of your vision statement. That's how it becomes inspirational, how we choose to use it, not the words themselves. The second thing you can do to create a vision that actually works is to delete one of those key intents from that vision statement to see how important it is. Now, when you delete an element, you look to see what the planning group says, and pretty much they're going to howl you down if it's important to them. They're going to say, don't you dare take that out. Put it back in again. It's really important. Okay, fine, just testing. So you can test things out by taking them out to see how important it is. Now, sometimes your vision statement will need to change. Why? Because it doesn't make sense anymore. We can't use it. It's full of platitudes, right? It's because it doesn't work. And we find about 1 in 3 need to change, mainly because it can't be used, or they're not using it in a way that's actually adding value to the organisation. Here are some questions that you can ask when you're developing up your vision statement, okay? The first question is, so what are the key intents in here? We know there'll be 2, 3, maybe 4 of them. Now let's test these out, take them out one by one to see if they're still important. Then you can also start to say, okay, does this actually represent the difference that we want to make to the communities that we serve? Does this capture the spirit of what it is that we're on about? Don't worry about wordsmithing. Does the intent hold true? Then you can say, okay, so if this does, why is this important? You know, sometimes people, for example, don't have a vision statement, or they've got one that's so terrible that they need to start anew. So how you start this off is just by saying, well, what difference do you want to make to the communities that you serve? And someone will say something, and then you say, and why is that important? They'll say something else. Someone else will say something else. And then the next question is, and what difference would that make if we did that really well? Someone will say something, then you say, and why is that important? And so what you're doing is you're iterating, and the key questions that you ask are the following. Number one, what difference do we want to make to the communities that we serve? Why is this important? If we were to do this really well, what difference would that make? Why is that important? If we were to do that really well, what difference would that make? And it's an iterative process to help you get to, well, here's the actual difference that we want to make. This whole process shouldn't take more than 40 minutes. Maybe 50 minutes if you've got a whole lot of people who like talking. But you just need to manage that. So the whole point behind this is explore the implications of your vision statement. Don't focus on getting the words right. There is no such thing as the right word. What you do want is a word that starts to generate strategic conversation. A vision statement that starts to develop up strategic focus, getting us to look at strategic implications, because each element in your vision statement should have the ability to help us unlock possibility if we use it.